Ladies and gentlemen, there is a secret so profound, so powerful, that once you understand it, the wisest course of action is silence. This is not because the secret is fragile, but because its power is best preserved in the stillness of your being. Everything you desire, everything you long for, already exists within you. The world outside is merely a shadow of your inner world. Your assumptions, your beliefs, and your inner conversations are shaping your reality in ways you cannot yet perceive. This is the law, immutable, unshakable, and operating whether you acknowledge it or not. But here's where most falter. The moment they glimpse this truth, they rush to share it, to test it, to seek validation from others. And in doing so, they dilute its power. They open the door to doubt, to contradiction, to energies that disrupt the delicate arc of creation. The greatest manifestations happen in silence. When you assume the reality of your desire and rest in the knowing that it must come to pass, there is no need to explain, justify, or seek approval. The seed grows best when left undisturbed. How often have you shared your dreams only to be met with skepticism? How many times have you allowed the doubts of others to plant seeds of uncertainty in your mind? The wise do not announce their victories before they unfold. They do not speak of their desires until they are facts. The secret is simple: assume it, feel it, live in the end, and then remain silent. Do not cast your pearls before those who cannot see their value. Do not seek agreement from those who live by sight rather than faith. Hold your vision close, nurture it in the sacred space of your imagination, and watch as the world bends to reflect your inner certainty. Be still and know, everything you experience in life is not a result of external forces acting upon you, but a direct reflection of your inner world. The reality you live in, the circumstances you find yourself in, and the people you encounter are all shaped by your imagination. This is not just a poetic idea, it is an absolute law. Imagination is the only reality, and once you understand this, you will see why it is so important to remain silent about what you truly desire. Your imagination is not a passive tool, it is the creative force behind everything you will ever experience. Every assumption you persistently hold, every mental picture you entertain, and every feeling you dwell upon is shaping your world. The external world is simply a mirror reflecting your internal state. If you believe yourself to be successful, the world will conform to that belief. If you see yourself as struggling, life will present struggle after struggle. There is no escaping this truth. The mistake many make is looking at the outside world and reacting to it as if it were independent of their inner state. They see lack and believe in it. They see obstacles and accept them as real. But the enlightened individual understands that what is seen is simply a result of what has been previously imagined. The physical world is always one step behind the inner world. If you wish to change anything, you must first change it within. Now here is where the great secret lies. Once you understand that imagination is the only reality, you must guard it with absolute silence. Many, upon discovering this truth, are eager to share it, to discuss their dreams, to seek approval from others. But in doing so, they expose their desires to external opinions, doubts, and contradictions. The act of speaking too soon dilutes the creative power of your imagination. Consider a seed planted in the ground. If you constantly dig it up to show others, it will never take root. Your desires and assumptions work in the same way. They require time in the darkness of your inner world to take form, to grow, and to become solid realities. The moment you expose them prematurely, you invite external forces to interfere. Others may not share your vision, and their skepticism can plant seeds of doubt within you. Even your own words, when spoken too soon, can weaken your conviction. True power lies in knowing. When you know something is already yours, there is no need to announce it. You do not need to convince others, nor do you need their approval. You rest in the certainty that what you have assumed will inevitably materialize. This is why the wise remain silent. They understand that their imagination is sacred, that their inner world is the birthplace of all reality, and that nothing external can override their own creative power unless they allow it. So, once you grasp this truth, keep your mouth shut. Guard your assumptions. Let the world wonder how you achieve what you do. Because when you understand that imagination is the only reality, you no longer need to explain. You simply create. What you assume to be true with absolute conviction shapes the course of your life. This is not an abstract philosophy, but a law as real as gravity. The power of assumption governs every aspect of existence, determining what you experience, who you become, and what unfolds in your world. Everything that exists in your life today, your relationships, Your financial situation, your successes, and your struggles can be traced back to the assumptions you have consistently held, whether consciously or unconsciously. Assumption is more than wishful thinking. It is a state of being. The moment you assume something to be true, whether it is desirable or undesirable, your world begins shifting to accommodate that belief. The outer world must conform to the inner world. It has no choice. If you assume yourself to be wealthy, loved, or successful, your subconscious mind will orchestrate the necessary conditions to make it a reality. It does not matter whether the assumption appears reasonable, logical, or even possible at the time. The only requirement is that you persist in it. However, most people make the critical mistake of assuming based on their current external circumstances. If they see lack, they assume lack. If they face difficulties, they assume struggle is inevitable. They live reactively rather than creatively, unaware that their assumptions are the very thing keeping them trapped in undesirable conditions. The wise understand that assumption precedes reality, not the other way around. They do not wait for external proof before believing something to be true. They assume it into existence. This is why it is so important to guard your assumptions. The moment you accept something as true, your subconscious mind accepts it as a command. It does not question, argue, or analyze. It simply brings forth whatever is impressed upon it with belief. This is why negative assumptions are just as powerful as positive ones. If you assume that life is difficult, that opportunities are scarce, or that people cannot be trusted, your reality will reflect those beliefs. But if you assume that life is effortless, that abundance flows to you, and that you are deeply loved, the world will mold itself accordingly. Now, once you understand this, the next crucial step is to remain silent about your assumptions. Many, upon grasping this truth, are eager to discuss it, to share their newfound realizations with others. But speaking too soon weakens the power of assumption. Words, when spoken without full conviction, invite contradiction. If you tell someone about your assumption and they express doubt, you may begin to doubt as well. If you explain your vision before it has fully taken root within you, you risk letting external influences interfere with your belief. The strongest assumptions are those held in quiet confidence. When you truly assume something to be real, you do not need to announce it. You do not seek validation. You simply embody the state of already having it. The world, being a reflection of your inner world, will inevitably conform. The secret is to assume, persist, and remain silent until the assumption becomes fact. Creation happens in silence. The moment you assume something to be true, a process begins, an invisible, yet powerful transformation takes place within the unseen fabric of reality. But this process does not require noise, explanation, or validation. It thrives in stillness. Just as a seed germinates beneath the soil long before it breaks through the surface, your desires and assumptions take root in the unseen before they manifest in the physical world. This is why the law works in silence. Everything in nature follows this principle. When a tree grows, it does not announce its progress. When the tides shift, they do not ask for permission. The most profound changes happen in quiet. Likewise, when you assume a new reality, the wheels of creation begin turning immediately, but their work is done in the depths of your consciousness, beyond the reach of your senses. The mistake many people make is trying to confirm their progress too soon. They look for evidence, they speak about their desires before they have fully formed, and in doing so, they disrupt the natural creative process. Speech, when used without full conviction, invites doubt. The moment you speak of something that has not yet materialized, you open the door to questioning, not just from others, but from yourself. If you tell someone about your goal, and they respond with skepticism, their doubt can plant a seed in your mind. Even if you do not consciously accept their disbelief, a subtle resistance forms within you. The subconscious mind, ever impressionable, absorbs these contradictions, weakening your original assumption. The most powerful creators understand this and choose silence over unnecessary words. Furthermore, the more you speak about something, the more you externalize it. You shift your focus outward instead of inward, seeking validation from the world rather than trusting in the process. This is where many fall into a cycle of frustration. They assume something, but because they are impatient to see results, they talk about it, look for confirmation, and when they do not immediately see proof, they allow doubt to creep in. This doubt, in turn, negates their original assumption, keeping them stuck in the same reality they wish to change. The law does not require effort, it requires faith. And faith is strongest when it is nurtured in silence. Think of the greatest successes in history. Those who achieved remarkable things did not waste time explaining their vision to those who could not see it. They held their assumptions with unwavering certainty, allowing their reality to shift without interference. They understood that speaking too soon would not bring their desires to fruition any faster. It would only expose them to unnecessary resistance. Silence is not inaction. It is the highest form of trust. When you assume something and keep it to yourself, you declare your absolute faith in the unseen. You do not need to prove anything, defend anything, or seek agreement. You simply assume, persist, and allow the silent forces of creation to work on your behalf. Your attention is the most valuable currency you possess. Wherever you direct it, energy flows, and that energy brings your assumptions to life. This is not a passive process, it is the fundamental law governing creation. The things you focus on consistently become more prominent in your reality, whether you welcome them or not. Every thought you dwell on, every mental conversation you entertain, and every emotion you persistently feel are shaping the world around you. If you can control your attention, you can control your life. Most people live unaware of this truth. They allow their attention to be dictated by external circumstances, reacting to what they see rather than consciously directing their focus. When they experience lack, they dwell on it. When they face challenges, they reinforce them by thinking about them repeatedly. Without realizing it, they magnify their struggles by continuously feeding them with attention. What they fail to understand is that by shifting focus, they can shift reality. The moment you understand that energy flows where attention goes, you realize the importance of protecting your desires from outside influence. This is why the wise keep their mouths shut. The more you talk about something, especially something that has not yet materialized, the more you expose it to scrutiny, doubt, and contradiction. If you share your dreams with people who do not understand the power of assumption, they will respond based on what they see, not what you know to be true. Their skepticism, whether spoken or unspoken, will subtly influence your mind, making it harder for you to maintain unwavering faith in your assumption. External opinions have a way of pulling your focus away from your inner certainty. Every time you explain yourself to someone, you risk engaging in a mental tug-of-war between belief and doubt. Even if you start with confidence, repeated exposure to disbelief can plant seeds of uncertainty. The more you allow this interference, the harder it becomes to persist in your assumption. This is why silence is so powerful. It keeps your attention undisturbed and directed toward your desired reality. Think of your desires as a flame. Your attention is the oxygen that fuels it. If you constantly expose your flame to strong winds, doubts, external opinions, and conflicting ideas, it becomes unstable, flickering and struggling to grow. But if you shield it, nurture it in a space of stillness and confidence, it strengthens and expands, eventually becoming an undeniable reality. The discipline of directing attention is the difference between deliberate creation and passive living. Those who master this law do not waste time explaining themselves or seeking validation. They know that every word spoken, every thought entertained, and every feeling indulged is shaping their future. They choose their focus carefully, placing it only on what they wish to see reflected in their world. Guard your attention as you would guard a treasure. Keep your assumptions sacred. Speak of your desires only when they have solidified into reality, not a moment before. Let your silence be your strength, and let your focus be unwavering. The world cannot help but reflect what you persistently assume, and when you learn to protect your focus, everything you desire will unfold effortlessly. True power lies in inner conviction. When you genuinely know something to be true, there is no need to seek approval, no urge to convince others, and no compulsion to explain yourself. Those who truly possess the secret of creation do not announce their desires to the world, they embody them. They move with the quiet confidence of someone who has already received what they seek. This is the sacred art of inner conviction, and it is the foundation of all manifestation. Most people struggle to manifest their desires because they lack this deep, unwavering knowing. They may say they believe, but beneath their words lies hesitation, doubt, and the need for external validation. They look for signs, they seek reassurance from others, and they constantly check their progress, as if reality needs their supervision to unfold. This is not true faith. Faith does not waver, does not question, and does not require proof. Faith is the unshakable conviction that what has been assumed must come to pass. The moment you declare something to be true within yourself, reality begins shifting to align with that assumption. But this process is delicate. If you constantly talk about your desires, explaining them to others, you weaken your inner conviction. Every time you verbalize something that has not yet materialized, you invite doubt either from yourself or from those who do not understand the power of assumption. Words, when spoken too soon, can dissipate the energy of creation. Consider the way a master artist works. Before their masterpiece is complete, they do not rush to show the unfinished work to critics. They protect the creative process, allowing the vision to unfold without interference. They know that an incomplete work is vulnerable to the influence of external opinions. The same principle applies to your manifestations. Your desires are like seeds, delicate in their early stages, requiring careful nurturing in the solitude of your imagination. The moment you expose them prematurely, they become subject to external forces that can alter their course. This is why those who truly understand this law do not speak unnecessarily. They do not feel the need to prove themselves or explain how things will unfold. They walk as though their desires are already fulfilled, and the world eventually mirrors their inner state. This is the difference between hoping for something and knowing it is already done. Hope looks for proof. Knowing moves as if the proof already exists. When you cultivate inner conviction, you become untouchable. The opinions of others no longer affect you. Doubt has no room to enter your mind because you are not seeking external reassurance. You understand that the world is a reflection of your internal state, and therefore you do not need to manipulate external conditions. You simply become the person who already has what they desire, and reality has no choice but to conform. So remain silent. Let your assumption take root in stillness. Speak of it only when it has fully formed, when it is no longer an idea but a fact in your world. This is the sacred art of inner conviction. When you know, you no longer need to announce it. You simply live it. Stillness is the bridge between assumption and manifestation. When you have assumed your desire as reality, the next step is not effort, not constant checking, and certainly not seeking reassurance from others. It is stillness. To be still and know is to trust the unseen, to hold unwavering confidence that what you have assumed is already set in motion. This is the hardest lesson for many to learn because the mind craves action, validation, and proof. But the greatest power lies not in external effort, but in quiet inner assurance. Creation does not require struggle. It does not require you to force things into place. The moment you assume something to be true, your reality begins shifting to accommodate that assumption. But most people, instead of trusting the process, disrupt it with their impatience. They question, doubt, and seek signs. They constantly look outside themselves for confirmation that their desire is manifesting. In doing so, they weaken their assumption and slow down the very process they set in motion. True knowing requires no external validation, it simply is. Imagine planting a seed in the soil. The intelligent gardener does not dig up the seed every day to check if it is growing. They trust that, beneath the surface, something is happening. They water it. They nurture it. They do not disturb it. They know that if they interfere too much, they will ruin the process. The same principle applies to your desires. The moment you assume something as true, it is like planting a seed in the fertile soil of your consciousness. Your only job is to nurture it with faith, to persist in your assumption, and most importantly, to leave it alone. Stillness is not inactivity, it is the highest form of faith. It is the inner state of someone who understands that the unseen world precedes the seen. It is the quiet confidence of one who knows that their assumption is already reality, even if the senses have not yet caught up. The wise remain still because they understand that their desires are already fulfilled. They do not chase, they do not beg, and they do not look to the outside world for evidence. They trust that what they have assumed must come to pass. When you are still, you align yourself with the natural flow of creation. You do not resist, you do not doubt, you simply allow. This is why those who truly understand this secret do not speak unnecessarily. They do not need to convince anyone. They do not need to justify their desires. They do not need to explain their vision. They know, and that knowing is enough. Be still and know. Do not let impatience pull you out of alignment. Do not seek proof before the time is right. Rest in the certainty that what you desire is already yours. Let the world catch up to your assumption. Let the unseen forces work in your favor without interference. When you master stillness, you master creation. The greatest power lies not in words, not in seeking validation, and not in external effort, but in silence, stillness, and unwavering inner conviction. When you truly understand that imagination is the only reality, that assumption shapes the world, and that energy flows where attention goes, you realize that the wisest course of action is to guard your desires with quiet confidence. The world will always reflect what you persistently assume to be true. But to protect this process, you must resist the urge to explain, justify, or seek approval. Speaking too soon weakens your assumption, invites doubt, and exposes your creation to unnecessary resistance. The most powerful manifestations occur in the unseen, nurtured in the depths of your consciousness, free from external interference. True mastery comes when you no longer feel the need to prove yourself. When you know something is already yours, you do not chase, you do not beg, and you do not announce it before it's time. You simply embody it. You rest in the certainty that what you imagine must become reality. So once you know this secret, keep your mouth shut. Let the world wonder how things fall into place for you. Let them question how you move with such quiet confidence. Let them see the results, but never the process. Because those who truly understand the law do not need to explain it, they live it.